Right. Here we are. We have a little bit of a lag on our video. Hopefully this catches up. Alright everybody, we're here. Welcome aboard Wine Wednesday. It is August 22nd, 2018. Playing some happy music.
I don't feel very happy right now.
We can clap along. We can clap along.
I'm trying to get over it.
We've got our ISA banner, and hopefully not going to be giving me a halo in the back. But anyway, for everybody who is our usual listeners on the podcast, welcome.
Hello.
We went 4 weeks.
Do you not own the rights to this song?
No, we don't own the rights to that. But we went 4 weeks straight on Wine Wednesday. We're going to have a break next week. But we got plenty to announce and go over. And yeah, we'll wait for some folks to jump in. Hey, Robin, right on time. You're right with us.
Nice to see you. Hello, hello, hello.
We are going to do trivia later, Robin, but you might have faster fingers than others. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
James, Lisa Long, welcome everybody.
Hi, we do have some things to give away. Clap along if you feel. Because I'm happy.
But this is, hey, May. All right, so we're going to be talking about back to school. That's the topic today.
Back to school.
Everybody on Facebook Live can see that. It says back to school with some wine and writing, trivia, and Q&A coming up. As always, this is open Q&A for everybody watching on Facebook Live. If you guys listening on the podcast have any questions,
for you to say.
You can email max@networkisa.org, felicity@networkisa.org. We can take some questions if you have any. Yeah, we're talking back to school. We're coming right up to the end of August. It's unbelievable that it's this quick.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't know what has happened
I don't know
this
how
year.
that happened. It was, I remember January feeling like it was 75 days long, and then suddenly it's August.
I know. Well, January I was in Sundance for Table Read My Screenplay. We are actually opening the next Sundance Table Read My Screenplay contest on Tuesday. Watch out for that. Yeah. So last August I was in the snow and I was bopping around watching some. Actually, it was a very good year for films.
So you'll be back next.
I'll be back in 2019.
In 2019. So we're opening up Table Read My Screenplay Park City pretty soon, right?
Tuesday.
This coming Tuesday. Plus a couple other contests that we're going to talk about. But first and foremost, our sponsors, as always, we've got Steel Wine, and we have a lovely Zinfandel that we will be pouring.
It's looking a bit dewy because it's been in the fridge because it's still so hot.
It's so hot in our apartment, and we don't have a wine fridge, which we should probably invest in one. The temperature is probably not correct. For anyone who doesn't know a lot about wine, temperature makes a huge difference. We went out and met with a producer last night at a place in. Where were we?
West Hollywood, but we can't name it.
Yeah, and nice ambiance and everything. The wine was way too warm. This is going to be too cold. I prefer a little cooler than warm, but it just ruins the flavor and the taste. And Steel Wines is so good that I feel bad putting it in the fridge, and apologize to our sponsor for doing that. But we will be investing in a wine fridge soon, so it's perfect temperature.
Yes. In the meantime, it's still delicious, and thank you so much, Drew from Steel Wines. We appreciate it muchly.
It's much better to have it a little chilled as opposed to warm. The warmth really does draw it out. But there you go. You can see Steel Wines in the Facebook comments.
And they have a tasting room. We love them.
They're awesome. SteelWines.com. You can go check it out. Everybody listening on the podcast. Cheers.
Cheers. And also, they're really very amazing because Drew, the person who, oh my God, it's so good, looks after us, also was evacuated from his house.
Right.
Because of the fires.
Those fires in Northern California
are
really.
Still been in contact with us saying, hey, how's it going? What's happening with you? I mean, amazing.
Total trooper. And I hope that the vineyard and all the vineyards they have are okay. Any and all wine makers up there are surviving as best they can.
Yeah.
It's pretty nasty. But
it's no fighting Mother Nature.
Sadly there isn't. But all right, so Steel Wines, of course, Movie Maker. Movie Maker is giving something away that we're going to be awarding the person who wins the trivia contest at the end of this show.
Yes. They're giving away a year's subscription. Digital subscription. You should be checking out as many magazines as you possibly can. It's something that we're going to be kind of talking about. Last week we were talking about education. This week, obviously there's a little bit of a theme with back to school, but it's more of a motivation. How do I schedule my time? We're coming into the last quarter of the year. What can we do in terms of deadlines? So obviously education has a lot to do with that. Magazines like Movie Maker are a huge education. You should be reading anything and everything you possibly can get your hands on, from the trades to Movie Maker to some of our other sponsors we've had on here like creativescreenwriting.com.
So what is Movie Maker? A year's subscription to
the digital content.
Digital content, which is
so
pretty
they have
much
great interviews, and they again they have reviews I think on the movies that are coming out, and it's a really fantastic magazine. It's been going for quite a while.
I think it's a little more filmmaker centric, and
but that's good education.
Totally.
Good education.
You need to be educating yourself. Movie Maker magazine. Thank you for
Thank you
for
so
sponsoring
much.
us.
And there's one other sponsor that's not up here because there wasn't room for them. And
Technically,
who is that?
me. I'm sort of the sponsor for Story Farm. I didn't put the logo up because it's me. If this little rabbit, it doesn't look like I was
rabbit
hoping
with
that
skull
kind
and
of looked
crossbones.
like it was like a farm, but it doesn't. That's a rabbit with skull and crossbones.
It's like
I'm
a death
talking about my
rabbit.
shirt, everybody on the podcast. But
The death rabbit.
the Story Farm, as always, you can go to thestoryfarm.org. I run that with 3 other coaches, and we are looking for a few more writers before the end of the year. We can only take on so many. I technically cannot take on any new writers, but my coaches can, so we can
has some
talk
excellent
about
coaches.
that.
Yeah.
Our coaches are great. We've had a lot of success stories. A lot of the writers who are on our development slate are through the Story Farm.
Yeah, again, it's a bit of a cross-fertilization happening.
Yeah. All right. So before we go into some of the other announcements, just in terms of what we're going to talk about, I'm taking a little piece out of one of the chapters from the craft course, which we are going to be giving a discount on in a little bit. But I took just a little piece out here because it's a note about how many hours you have remaining, and technically what this is referencing is obviously the coursework when you're going through the chapters, but we're pulling it out and going to give it a little bit broader of a view in terms of how many hours do you really have during the week, and are you spending those hours as well as you can, and then expanding those over the next 4 months to see just really how many hours you do have between now and the end of the year.
We were just talking about it, and we realised that, you know, in January you make a lot of New Year's resolutions, and it's always about starting a new project, or, you know, losing weight or working out more, whatever you're trying to do. And we just wanted to think and put a little seed in your mind that you could start now and have a project finished.
Why wait? Why wait until January
By
to make
January.
resolutions? You should be making resolutions every month.
And the reason why we chose Happy as the song was to then remind you that you'll be feeling very smug and very happy because you've done it.
Yeah.
And you've done something to support yourself.
And the more productive you are, the better you feel, because you feel like you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not wasting time, you're not procrastinating. That's the worst thing you can do in this time of year, because so many things are coming up. You've got all the holidays coming up in about
you've
2
got
months.
Thanksgiving, and then the Christmas
If
holidays.
you have kids, it's even harder because those kids are going on Halloween and you're visiting family, and it's going to get nuts. So we'll take a look at this back to school approach that we're going to do.
And also, because back to school for me is always very exciting. I always had this little rush in my tummy about the fact that I was excited about this new year, this new kind of school year, this new beginning of getting creative, or
I was always
feeling
like
inspired.
a little back and forth, meaning I was like excited but also horrified. Like, this is because I had so much fun in the summers when I was a kid. It was really hard to end that summer, man. We would be playing until nightfall, you know, and then we'd come in and we'd stay up until 3 a.m, and that was when Nintendo was just coming out. So my buddies and I we were nuts, you know. But it was hard to go back to school.
Yeah. Well, school, you have to, you know, you're told what to do. No one likes being told
Yeah,
what to
you
do.
know, it's when you're 12, it's a little different when you're in your 30s or 40s or older, and you can, you know, now you know what you're working for. But anyway, we'll get to the whole back to the school stuff. All right, so what else do we have doing?
Oh, yeah, we're doing our little announcements. The Wine Wednesdays Back to School special. We're doing half off the ISA's craft course, or Max Tim's craft course.
So the craft course, it's the online only version, and it gets you through 12 weeks to finish a draft, and there's a lot of heavy outlining and everything. It's usually $99, but with the coupon code of WINEWED and the number 2, you can get half off. So only $49, and honestly, and not to just toot my own horn, it's probably the most expensive online course just for screenwriting only than you're going to find. For $50,
It's crazy town.
you're going to go out and have dinner one night and spend $50 somewhere. So why not have a course? And you'll always be able to use it. It's not like it expires after 12 weeks. You can always go back and reference it. All the writers that we have in Story Farm, I reference constantly. Go use the coursework, read through that, understand the outlining tools.
I think the outlining is the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, because you have to form that foundation.
We have talked about that in the past, about getting your plan in place.
Yeah.
So getting your plan for your writing, getting the plan for your script, make yourself
Because by the time you get to the pages, and this is kind of the whole point of the coursework and just the work through the Story Farm, is by the time you are putting words on the page, like in a final draft document, it'll feel more like a second or third draft because you've done so much work prior to that. So you spend roughly 7 weeks or so, maybe 8, depending on how fast you are, without writing any pages. So those last 4 weeks are then devoted to the actual writing of the pages. Then the page writing's fun. You're not trying to make discoveries in the pages, even though discoveries are inevitable. You're going to find new
characters start
pieces.
talking to you.
Yeah, right. But you at least know the direction. You know where the twists and turns are going to happen. You know what the complication is. You know what the low point is. You know what the climax is. So all that's worked out as opposed to trying to figure it out on the page.
And then we have another Wine Wednesdays Back to School special, number 2.
Yeah.
And that's $50 off all ISA development evaluations.
Yeah.
So the development evaluation is where you get 5 pages of the really best notes. And if you're a normal ISA member, so that means you're not ISA Connect, it's $149. And if you're an ISA Connect member, it's down to $99.
It's only $99 for
5 pages.
For 5 pages of really thorough notes. You're not going to find for $100 if you're an ISA Connect member notes like this, and they're development notes. It's not coverage. So everybody listening, I know we've talked about this a little bit. There's a big difference between coverage and development notes. Development notes are giving you suggestions as to what you can do to improve the script. Here's what isn't working. Here's what is. Let's bolster that. Coverage is just like a synopsis with
telling you what if they got it.
And it's it's a synopsis of your project already, and then some check boxes saying the craft was good, formatting's right, characters are okay.
I mean, basically it just shows they read the first 20 pages.
Usually coverage is used at the level of kind of like an assistant or a junior executive, and trying to write something up for the executives above him or her so that they get a sense of what the project is. So they don't have to read the script. So development notes it's much bigger.
And there is a code for that one too, and that is WineWed2.
WineWed2. So it's the same code, but there are 2 different sites. So maybe it's a good question. So for the ISA development, James, our social media expert here, our guru, he had to restart his machine. So he'll start putting the links up. But if you go to networkisa.org, and then I think one of the tabs says it's something along the lines of the development eval. Actually,
yes,
it's as simple as networkisa.org/dev eval. Or if you just go to our ISA website, you can just flip around and it's pretty easy to see the tabs. You'll be able to find the development evaluation there. The craft course, though,
it's under Get Connected.
The Get Connected tab at networkisa.org. So that's the development evaluation. The craft course, though, is a whole separate website. It's thecraftcourse.com. So it's quite literally that simple.
And that's where you get your $49.50.
Yeah. There'll be some other options on there. You'll see the Story Farm logo. It's a separate thing. But the craftcourse.com online only is what you'll click on. So yeah, that'll be $49. That'll be $49. Hand it over.
Yeah,
I didn't mean it to sound like
just
that.
like tuck it down the top of Max's jumper.
Right, here we go.
That's it. It's going to do a
wearing
little
a V-neck.
dance for you in a minute. Yeah. $49 for this special boogie.
Yeah. All right. I think those are all of our it's
our announcements in the fact that we have one more to say. Well, we've said about Table Read, my screenplay.
That'll be
Park
opening
City is
soon.
opening Tuesday, and then also another reason why we wanted to really focus on getting you to write your script and get this done is because the Nickelodeon writing program, one of our great fans and we're their great fans, their submission period starts on the 2nd of January. So if you write your script now, you can be ready to put it in for free.
Yeah.
To have a chance to be one of the finalists and win a year of
and I
salary.
think it's just nickwriting.com or something. If you Google Nickelodeon writing program, but you should also be Googling all of the studio fellowships.
Yeah, actually I found a list on Movie Maker.
There you go. Movie Maker, I'm sure, has a bunch of references.
Has a list, actually, if you look.
Just about every studio has some form of a writing fellowship. Google screenwriting fellowships, and you'll see a whole bunch of them. Most of the studio level fellowships are free. That does mean they're going to get a lot more applications, and the top level of those people who are applying have probably been applying for the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, they do get a lot of people that reapply.
And they're A level. They just haven't quite crossed that threshold. So you really have to bring your A game for those fellowships.
You've got some time. How much time? How many hours have you got between now and here?
So this is what I'm going to take a second to read this, right? And we can bounce back and forth. All right. So thank
you for listening. Oh, and anyone that's watching on either Emerging Screenwriters or Table to Read My Screenplay sites, come to the ISA, Network ISA, if you want to comment, because we can't see them. They're not collated here.
Oh, very good point. So if you found this broadcast through the Emerging Screenwriters Facebook page or the Table Read My Screenplay Facebook page, it depends on if James shared it there. I'm sure that he did. But if you want to comment, especially since we're going to do trivia, and it's an open Q&A, you can ask any question anytime about anything.
Like, where did Felicity get her amazing trousers?
Trousers. I don't know why trousers made me laugh, but
oh my goodness.
In order to comment, you have to go to the ISA's Facebook page and then click on the broadcast there. Otherwise, we won't see your comments. And it's good that James found that last time, because I'm sure some people were trying to comment on, hey, we're not listening.
And I'm like, they're rude. Very rude.
But, all right, so this is a rundown of what I put together for just, I think it's like week 5 or something. And actually, it might be a part of the 30-day screenwriting challenge, which you can also purchase, which is pretty much just a condensed version of the craft course. But it's to show how much time you actually do have to write.
You're going to be so frightened by this. I was so frightened. I realized how much time I spent on Facebook.
It's a little eye-opening, and even when I was doing the math, just kind of figuring out these numbers are very broad, very basic. I'm not looking to make an argument about semantics about how many hours or anything. These are very general numbers, but generally in a week total, 24 hours a day times 7, you got 168 hours, right? That you have time to do everything, live your life. And if you, let's say, get roughly 6 hours of sleep every night, that's 42 hours over a 7-day period, right? 42 hours a week. If you have a day job, 8-hour workday, let's just say 5 days a week, 40 hours. Plus some commuting, you might add another hour per day. We'll just round it.
2 hours.
Yeah, right. We'll round it at 40 for now. If you're a functional, normal human being, which I hope and expect that you are, and you have friends and family, and there's going to be some form of socializing, fun, relaxation per day, we'll say 2 hours a day.
That's not enough time for
That
me.
might seem low. I'll explain. But we'll say 14 hours a week. And if you look at 14 hours a week that's actually the amount of time you're going to go out and have fun with friends. 14 hours is a lot. That's a long time.
That's piddling.
I don't do 14 hours a week of
I
actually
know,
socializing with people.
But I do. I do more than that.
Okay, well, so let's say you also add breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You got to eat, of course. That's probably another 20 hours a week. All told, if you subtract all these numbers off of the 168 hours that are total in a week, the number I have here, so this is how many hours in a 7-day week you still have remaining that you could set toward writing. How many hours?
52.
52 hours, technically speaking, all right? So that might make some people's eyes,
Roll in their heads
a little bit. So 52 hours. Now let's say, fine, 14 hours a week for socializing, fun, relaxation. That's not enough time. Even if you add some, let's say you add another 4 hours for the week, it's still 48 hours left. And then what did I say? So now if you're a young parent, or I should say a parent with young children, they need a lot of care, et cetera, et cetera. They're not away in school and they're not old yet. It's probably going to cut that number in half. You're going to be somewhere between 20 to 25 hours a week, at least. Maybe.
I was going to say, I think if you're a parent, you never stop looking after your children, and even if they're a bit older, you're taking them to ballet or
you're
drama
taking
club.
them to football, whatever. Yeah, so 20 hours a week if you're a parent. But even if you extend each of the above categories, I'm just reading from my little list here, by a few hours, like in order to include like the commute, etc., you should still have probably 20 to 30 hours, even if you're not a parent. 20 to 30 hours a week.
My friend said something the other day on Instagram. She said, and I thought it was very true, she said, we were all just faffing around, weren't we, until we had children. And I think that's about right.
You realize how much time you actually have. Because you still get, as a parent, I'm not a parent, but you still get all your stuff done.
Bella is our furry child.
Well, you're a furry child. I just pet it. So what did I say? So 30 hours in 7 days. If you fully utilize that time, and you use the outlining process of some kind, you're taking a screenwriting course or something, you're going to create so much stuff and material. Usually, I tell my writers if you can do 10 hours a week, you're going to be able to get through the full development of a script in 6 months. If you're going 20 to 30 hours a week, you're speeding up that process. And if you then, what did I do for All right, so this is kind of fun. So then I expanded out because we're doing this whole back to school thing, right?
Yeah.
Over 4 months. So this is like the beginning of the last quarter of the year. So if you've got 168 hours per week times 4 weeks, which is we'll just generally say 4 weeks in a month, sometimes it's a little more. So it's 672 total hours in a month, roughly speaking. Then taking all the same numbers, you're sleeping 42 hours maybe a week, 4 times 4 weeks, you got all these numbers here. I'm not going to have to go, I don't have to go through all this, but total per month of, eat and socialize and having fun and day job plus a commute and sleeping, it's about roughly 188 to 193 hours per month. That's a lot. If you're a parent, you divide it in two, you're about 90, 95 hours. Even if you round that down, let's say you just don't have time, there are other things, you have to take care of a parent, I get it, there are things. Let's say you round it down by 30 hours. It's still about 150 hours. If you then look at that in a 4-month time frame, it's 150 hours per month, times 4 months, that's 600 hours that you have between now and New Year's. Granted, holidays, it's Christmas and Thanksgiving, and you're not going to be always writing during that time. Cut that in half. That's 300 hours between now and the end of the year. What are you going to do with that time? And
crochet a nice jumper. I forget these are British terms. A sweater.
So Joanne's saying laundry, food shopping, paying bills. Totally. These are all little things that add up. How many hours a week do you really spend paying bills? 2,
Everyone
maybe?
needs a wife, basically. If you have a wife, then it's all very different.
Food shopping takes time, especially if you have children. Of course. So all you have to do is just start breaking down the hours.
I guess the thing that we're trying to do is you probably have more time than you realise. I don't think anyone really has 30 hours a week. Because everyone wants to sleep more than 6 hours, in my opinion. However, I think giving yourself a target of 2 hours a day or 5 days a week would still give you 10 hours. And interestingly enough, the last couple of Third Thursdays, there's been this lovely girl that's come, who has come to see me because basically I was on a photography shoot, and she was doing the craft services, and she used to be a writer, and we just started talking, and she was telling me about her life and what she's doing now, and she's a single mom, and has difficult times, but she really missed writing. And I said to her, why don't you write an hour a day? And she started to write for 1 hour a day. It's that same thing they do with Get Off the Couch. There's a whole kind of program they do in the UK,
right.
where they do a way to get you to run to 5k. And they do the first day you have to get up, you have to walk for a minute, you have to run for a minute, you have to, they do that for about 10 minutes, then you're allowed to go home. And they gradually build you up.
Yeah.
And in the end, people I know that did that 5 years ago and now run 30 miles a week.
Right.
So it's about building a muscle. It's about getting yourself inspired. I've been practicing with my home practice yoga. Yeah. And I really miss it if I don't do it now, and it's 25 minutes in the morning.
It's about creating a new habit. And really, that number of 52 hours a week, it's over 7 days. And of course, it's not including exercise and working out. And all it is just a starting point to look at it and go, all right, technically speaking, I have 52 hours of time that I'm spending on something. Like if I don't get any writing done during a week, you have to ask yourself, all right, what did I do for those 52 hours? Plenty of it, I'm sure, will be filled with something that's important, exercise and family time or whatever. But then you really start to look at it and go, did I spend 25 hours, 30 hours on family time and exercise? Probably not. How am I filling this time? And if you're not aware of how you're filling the time, that time is just constantly going to get filled, and you're never going to fill it with writing.
Well, I guess it's about being proactive rather than reactive. So yeah, someone's always going to ask you for your time. There's always, especially if you have children or a family or needy friends, they're always going to be asking for your time. But how about you put aside some time for yourself? Because writing is a very spiritual, uplifting, inspiring. If it makes you happy, you should be doing it.
Sometimes it can be the opposite, and sometimes it's horrible and you feel terrible about yourself because you're not getting the right words down, and you feel blocked. I get it. But the more often you just force yourself to go, no, for this hour and a half during this day, even 5 days a week, I'm going to be it's forcing myself to sit down and write something, even if it's just like I'm not flowing with the script. I'm going to journal. I'm just going to get my creativity going. I'm not going to force it.
I think even if you read a book that you found really inspiring for that time, so if you were feeling really like, oh my goodness, I can't get any words out, then to read someone else or to
it's
read
important
a script,
to read,
or
absolutely.
to kind of do.
But I don't mean to cut you off. But I also can. That's and then also a habit that you can form. Instead of the writing, you then read for that hour and a half. Which is fine. You should be reading, but suddenly that's taking up the writing, and it becomes an excuse. Well, I'm doing research, or well, I'm reading this, or I'm watching a movie that I have to watch because it's the same genre. All of that's important again, and you keep shaving away down this 52 hours a week. The goal that I always tell the writers and myself, it has to be at least 10 hours. If you're getting less than 10 hours or not even 5 or something, you're not going to get anything done, and you're not going to form a habit, and you're not going to be moving forward.
Yeah. He's really strict. You can read a book on my terms.
What do we got here? I did see someone say the evenings I write until 2 a.m. I get 5 hours of sleep because of Plan B. Yeah, 5 hours of sleep. If you can survive on 5 hours of sleep, I did that for a while, and
really improved your mood.
I did become a little stressed, just because I was getting up so early. But and I might try to dive into that again. I just have to go to bed earlier. I just have to go to bed. Whatever. We're not sharing the same bedroom. This is a roommate situation, folks.
I just don't think the 5 hours really suits you. And actually, they've done studies, and it makes you gain weight. It doesn't actually help with clarity.
I've heard the opposite. So it depends on the study. I don't know. If you don't, obviously he feels comfortable with 5 hours. And if you can function on that, then function on that. I am still only probably getting maybe 6 hours of sleep. Just because I go to bed a little bit later, it's it all evens out.
I don't know if like 10:15 is considered late in the world.
I don't fall asleep until maybe 11:30. It takes me forever to. Anyway, we don't need to be talking about my sleep cycles here, ladies and gentlemen. Pete, back into it. Write 2 hours a day, 14 a week. Still leaves 154 hours for everything else. Yeah, if you look at it, you can look at it any way. It's just paying attention to what you're doing. Like how often are you just sitting there looking at Facebook or Instagram, and there are things that fill the time that you could probably just do less of.
I think the thing is you're just watching other people's stories rather than creating your own, and I don't know if it makes you feel any better, because of course they're created stories anyway. It's not even real life. It's a created story that you're watching to avoid your own, or creating your own curated story.
Right. Yeah.
Rather than actually saying, okay, how can I don't know, because writing, as we've said before, is you revealing yourself. So maybe you don't want to reveal yourself, but
right.
In your writing there is the beautiful you with the voice that needs to be heard.
Yeah, and sometimes you do need to zone out. Sometimes, and you can save time for meditation, or if you don't meditate, there are other ways to just zone out and not think about life. What I need to change is the fact that when I zone out in the evening, sometimes I watch just stuff like Friends reruns or HGTV or something, and it's okay to rejuvenate yourself by just kind of zoning out a little bit, but there are ways to instead go for a walk or get on. I have a stationary bike that I haven't used as much as I should, or I can go to the gym. There are ways to zone out, and what zone out means is just not think about the things that are like pressing, the deadlines, and just let go. That I personally do need to do more.
I think getting out of the house would be useful.
Yeah,
I think actually just
too many hours.
Because I think that's what's happened for most people, and I'm not saying that I don't think actually this is going to help, but lots of people are stuck staring at a screen, and so actually it all becomes work. Life becomes about at work you're staring at a screen, and then when you come home there's more staring at a screen, either TV or your computer. Especially if you run your own business, it never really ends.
Well, I love what Suzanne says. I set a couple or a few hours aside every morning right after I drop my son at school. It works. It's a routine. It's my time, and becomes a habit. Coffee, laptop, me. And what I found working with so many writers over the past 10, 12 years is that parents, they cherish that time that they have to themselves, so they are more productive during that time.
But it's because they're so busy all the time. The busier you are, the more productive you are, the more you get done. I really believe that.
Yeah, Joanne says Felicity's right. It does make you gain weight in terms of getting less sleep.
Yeah,
it depends on what you do, and if you wake up and work out.
No, it's a weird thing because actually there's so much rejuvenation that happens in the body in that sleep time. And because I think it's also because you're tired because you haven't had the proper rest, so you tend to eat not as well as you would do. So
okay,
there's reasons for it.
I can totally see that. It's not like I'm arguing it, but I think everybody's different. Everything's relative. I didn't gain weight when I was doing that for a couple months.
No, you were lovely to live with.
I wasn't that big. Shut up. Oh Lord.
Didn't get fat, just the grumpiest person on the planet.
I wasn't. God in heaven. Yeah. Okay. Let's just argue for the rest of this.
No, that'll be nice. Don't have a friend to argue with. Write instead.
Anthony says, when I was doing my last script, I wrote 3 hours Monday through Thursday, then 10 hours plus on the weekend. Yeah, and sometimes, like, if you can front load your week or save time for the weekend, and then you know which days you're not going to write, then it's planned. And then you're like, okay, I know I'm going to have Wednesday and I'm not going to write. Or, you try to get 10 hours in, like Anthony, Monday, through Wednesday or Thursday, and then you take a couple days off.
I feel like it's like everything. If you do anything full time all the time, it becomes a job, and then there's no fun in it. There's about this idea of really looking forward to it. So, like you say, sometimes it's difficult, but
it's kind of
this.
Excuse me.
Showing
I'm
up on the
choking
page.
on my wine, but it's going back to this Malcolm Gladwell book, The Outliers, where he talks about the 10,000 hours idea, which I agree with to a certain extent. What he's saying in the 10,000 hours is that if you do something for 10,000 hours, you become an expert at it.
You become a master.
Expert, master, whatever he calls it. But problem is, and Michael Jordan had a great quote. He said, if you spend 10,000 hours shooting a free throw wrong and missing, you're just going to learn how to
do it badly.
Do it wrong.
Yeah.
So you can't just do something for 10,000 hours and expect to be an expert. You have to improve through every hour. Take steps to become better than you were the previous hour. Then you become an expert because you've made mistakes and you improve and correct
But
those
I think
mistakes.
what I love about being a writer is you can get better at it, and you do get
Constantly.
better at it.
I think it's impossible to not get better at it, because the more scripts you write, the more improved you'll become, because you notice, oh, these are the mistakes I made in this script. Now I'm not going to make those scripts, and you generate your voice. You figure out who you are through all these writings. I mean, we notice so easily the writers that end up winning our contests or come through the development evaluation. You can tell this person is submitting their 5th, 6th, 7th draft. Script, not just draft.
There is people that continue to submit the same script. That script might do well for them in the end one day if they've really honed it down to something very special. But I don't know if they're. They're one kind of writer, but there are other kind of writers that we tend to find get past that and get better and have become excellent at their craft. Throwing it away and starting again, trying something different, beginning again, having a different thought about it. And if you feel blocked, try something else. Like you say, write a short story or write a play or a short film. You have to be.
There's Wayne Dyer, was like a
guru,
a spiritual guru that I loved, and when I was getting into the whole self-help realm, I still love Wayne Dyer, but he had some kind of term about having constant vigilance to defeat the dragon, that dragon inside of you, and that dragon inside of you is you kind of holding on to your past self and not getting over basic faults or thought processes or belief systems and all this. And it kind of goes in the same way with writing, in that if you're just relying on your natural talent without spending time to improve, hiring a consultant, taking a class, getting into a writer's group, getting one friend to set deadlines for each of you and read your material, if you're not improving while you're doing all this, you're kind of just spinning your wheels. And most of you listening are probably like, well, duh. But you'd be surprised how many writers just try to write one script and they think that's going to be it.
Well, I think people are frightened of their greatness. There's something quite terrifying about actually doing something that you love for yourself. It's harder to keep showing up for yourself than it is to put things in the way that will block you.
Yeah, there is sometimes a little bit of a fear of success, or at the very least a fear of failure, that you're afraid to put yourself out there, which, tough luck. You chose the wrong profession if you're afraid of that,
Well, the thing is, I don't know, because writing is kind of thing you can do by yourself, can't you? It's quiet. If you don't show it to anyone, then you're not going to get anywhere because we're not going to see how good you are.
Right, but then you have to be prepared to be told that this isn't working.
Yeah.
Which is difficult. It's scary. You know, you spend so much time working on something and suddenly somebody comes back and you're like, well, who is this person with these notes? That's why you have to get multiple sources of notes. And if you get the same note from 4 or 5 different people, then obviously something is, you know.
And I think as well, I mean, sometimes you can mix it up a bit. So you can maybe do a short or a sizzle, or you can look at, you know, maybe you can film something. So if you've got a script you've been working on and you're quite pretty happy with it, but no one seems to be flying with it, maybe you can try and enter a contest or do a short version of it, or do a sizzle of it.
So I think that's a really good segue in terms of what we're talking about with this back to school. The whole point of this whole talk is to take a look at the next 4 months, it's the last quarter of the year. What can you do to prepare yourself for something? Even if it's a simple goal of, I'm going to finish one script before the end of the year. Fine. What are the steps you're going to take? You know, hopefully keeping your dog from barking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to kill that dog. I'm not.
My
I love
goal
dogs.
is, no.
I'm a vegan, pretty much.
I think that dog wants to be on the show. He's like right outside the window. But set some kind of goal. Set multiple goals. You know, it just don't sit in this kind of vacuum of right now. I need to finish this now, and then just get it out right away. You can find contests with deadlines. You know, like we were saying earlier, the Nickelodeon writing program is opening up in January. That could be something you're submitting to. You want to write a spec for a TV show to submit to the Nick writing program. Great. How many hours am I going to spend watching the show that I'm going to spec? You know, you have to plan all these hours because, especially during the last quarter of the year, time is going to fly because of holidays.
And also it's about not waiting for the right moment. Let's just begin. Let's just begin to do this stuff. Let's just make a plan, put it in the diary. I think there's Carl C says you can do anything for 30 days, and I think that's true. You can do anything for 30 days, and get yourself a nice wall calendar, be really old school, and cross off every time you've written for your 30 days. Do something that is and then have rewards put in there. Have a little...
Take the 30-day screenwriting challenge that we have at thecraftcourse.com. That keeps you every day, you know, set with, okay, I'm going to read this lecture, I'm going to listen to this audio, I'm going to hit this assignment. And every day it gives you something. And then the latter portion, like the last 15 days, are like tips and pieces of info from different consultants and screenwriting organizations and stuff.
But really, and reward yourself for turning up for yourself. I mean, this is... it's for no one other than you, and that's what makes it hard sometimes. It's actually you're doing something that feels, it's not selfish, but it feels selfish. We're so trained to be good.
You do have to give yourself approval.
We're to be good little people, you know, do as we're told, don't be selfish, don't think about what you want.
Yeah.
You know, always be thinking about others. This is something that is actually for you. I mean, actually you will benefit so many others if you write something brilliant. Yeah. And you can change the world, but you know, in the meantime, do it for you. You deserve it. You deserve this time. You're a creative person. Allow the juices to flow.
Yeah.
Have some wine.
Let's look at some comments. Why don't you pour me some more wine?
Okay. Well, you look at the comments. I can't really see today because I've been staring at the computer, so my eyes.
Robin says Patrick Gabridge is an awesome New England playwright who has an Excel tracking tool that helps you find where you're writing hours. Research versus writing versus meetings, go. I've been using it. It's really helpful, especially in terms of setting practical goals. There you go. Patrick Gabridge. Maybe you can Google, it's Gabridge for everybody listening on the podcast. Patrick Gabridge, New England playwright. He's got an Excel tracking tool. There you go. Or just make your own, you know. Anthony, an outline or a treatment helps to stay focused too, totally. Most of the writing that I put my writers through or that I'm writing happens in outline form. I spend weeks before I get to pages because I just don't feel comfortable getting into pages if I don't have everything in that scene figured out. It's almost like taking a director's approach, looking at, you know, each little storyboard and here are the moments, here's the blocking, here's, you know, when this line's going to happen and why, and you know.
I just think it gives you it gives you a focus and a plan. It's all about plans, actually. It feels like this whole thing has been about plans. It gives you a plan for the scripts. You're allowed to go off the plan. But if you've got something in place where you have a better idea in the middle of it.
Some kind of framework.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like that's the case if you're on holiday and you're thinking, oh my goodness, This is such a segue. But if you're going to go on holiday and you're thinking, I'm going to look for the best restaurant, because holidays really are about eating and drinking for me. I'm like, or sightseeing, eating, drinking. So you kind of go like, oh, I found this place. It looks amazing. I'm going to head in that direction. However, if I'm on the way there, something seems even more gorgeous or wonderful or kind of calls to me, I'm going to take a new little
Okay, that's a good analogy.
sidebar.
When you started talking about vacation, I was thinking, I don't enjoy my vacations enough, which is a lesson learned. I went home and spent about 2 weeks in Wisconsin, and I planned to get some work done there, and I still
But that
did.
isn't
I got some
holidays, though.
It turned into a vacation because I didn't really do that much work, and I didn't write during that time. The problem was I didn't really plan for it to be a vacation,
Right.
so I felt guilty that I wasn't working
Yeah.
as much, and I didn't get writing hours in, so I didn't enjoy my vacation very much. I should have just said, this is my vacation. I should have told everybody I'm not going to work. And this is part of the organizational process where you have to plan ahead. It's like that's the conundrum for writers, is that you have to be a little left-brained and right-brained. You have to be able to balance both, because if you're only creative, you're going to drive yourself nuts. What do we got? Lucille Ball said, from James McCarthy, if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really agree with that.
Joanne says cortisol levels rise when you do not get enough sleep. She's still on the sleep part.
No, that's
Higher
true.
cortisol makes you fat. Okay, Joanne, I believe you. That was a very scientific response. Maeve, how can anyone not cherish writing? Exactly. Anihita says, yes, to write a good script, you should write some bad. You have to.
Yes, absolutely. I love all these.
And Mary
comments.
says, maybe it's like sex and better with a partner. I would
don't
argue,
know.
Mary.
I was gonna say, 'cause,
sometimes
like-
it isn't always better with a partner.
I was going to say, Max always says no to partners. In
Always?
writing. In writing.
Oh, in writing.
I have no clue. We are very careful about our rooms being very far away from each other. So I have no clue about the other stuff. I just want to put that out there.
Oh, Mary, thanks for the awkward comment, but it's worth it. Pete says, without self-imposed deadlines, the months and years can just slip away. They do slip away. They totally slip away.
Yeah, because
I
I'm only
spent-
27.
I spent 8 years writing one script, and you should not spend that much time. Granted, a lot of life happened during that time, but it should not take that long. It just shouldn't. I
Well-
became a better writer as I got to the end of that script, but
Well, so you were having life changes.
Oh, there was huge. It was my mid to late 20s, and I was, whatever. I don't need to get the history, but still, if you're really putting the time and with self-imposed deadlines and staying organized, it should have taken a year. It shouldn't be 8.
I think also, I mean, there's a lot of the spiritual stuff that says thoughts become things. I think if you set yourself, even without realizing it, setting yourself the ambition to do something, to have written a screenplay or done this by a certain time,
Yeah, right.
kind of triggers something somewhere inside you that kind of goes, oh, okay, I've written that down somewhere.
And the
then
tricky part is trying to stay passionate during that ambition, and
Yeah.
it starts getting into this big, psychological breakdown of the person's psyche. But you do have to stay passionate, otherwise you're going to lose interest, and it happens sometimes. Which is, sometimes you.
I know,
can't
but
get
then
that
if the
passion.
script isn't talking to you right at that minute,
Right, put
so
it down,
write
do
something
something
else.
else.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean that's the thing is that there's. As long as you're, my top's all wonky. As long as I always go the wrong way. As long as you're writing, it doesn't matter because, do it as therapy for you. You deserve this time with yourself, this peace, this quiet, this exploration,
I
this
think that's the
journey
big
into
thing.
self.
You got to write for yourself. Don't worry about you have to be aware of who your audience will be. You can't think about this script is going to make me this much money, or I'm going to sell it to a producer, or I'm going to get it to this person.
Although we did find out that George Clooney made $263 million.
39, but whatever.
Sorry, 239.
Yeah.
Sorry, $239 million this year.
This year, which I'm just the
Forbes.
year's not over. Like, what did he do? One movie this year? Like, I think there's like
It must be all the other stuff that
royalties
he's got.
included,
Yeah.
or it has to be. So
He's been a producer, writer, and stuff.
There's producers, writers, so it's hard to say.
So that's something to
acting
aim
and-
for.
Nonetheless, these people are making an incredible amount of money, but
Yeah.
they're also ridiculously talented, and they've been doing this for a long time. So
Yeah. But basically, the article was from the Evening Standard in the UK, and it was about the disparity between male and female wages.
Right, they were making a point with the disparity, and there totally is. It's
Well,
even if the
anyway,
numbers.
we're
are skewed.
working on it. All right, girls,
Yeah.
we're working on it. So keep writing,
Suzanne
ladies.
says, I'm adapting my script into a novel and find that it's making me go back and improve the script, so I'm sticking with that story still, so I'll have the both done. It's working for me, but I would like to start my next story idea too. Afraid to try it all at once and spread myself totally. So you don't want to spread yourself too thin, Suzanne. I've done that. I actually once set a schedule where on Monday I'm going to write on and work on this script. Tuesday I'm going to work on this project. Wednesday I'm going to do this. That lasted maybe 2 weeks. It didn't, for me, it didn't work. Some people can, split their brain like that, but
I guess if you're still having ideas about the new script, write them down so you don't lose them.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But
I think when I'm working with writers through the Story Farm and we're working, one-on-one weekly calls kind of thing, I tell the writer, choose one script and we're focusing only on that one script when you're working with me. It kind of helps keep them focused. I do tell them that if you have other projects that you're interested in, you feel creative, whatever.
Get some juices flowing.
Juices going.
I keep saying that. That's my phrase of the day.
It's probably because
it's
so hot
juices.
in here. We're just like sweating off of.
I'm quite pink.
But so you're right to be aware of not spreading yourself too thin, Suzanne.
And you know best. I think that's the thing. It's Lisa.
Yeah, you go with your
Suzanne.
intuition.
Yeah, you know best.
But adapting my script into a novel, that's what I did. I wrote multiple drafts, probably 10 to 12 drafts of this big fairy adventure thing, and I ended up turning into a book. And it was very freeing. I didn't have to worry so much about formatting. I could go into a flashback now and then, not worrying about, whether or not it would work visually in a script. It was very freeing. And you'll probably learn a lot about the characters that you're doing because you're going to be able to go into the psyche of those characters. So yeah, I would do everything you can, Suzanne, to just focus on that book, and then when other ideas come along, you jot some ideas down and just keep going. Lisa says, I knew Wayne. Oh yeah, she knew Wayne Dyer. I hung out with him a couple times. Concepts like he was teaching is what I'm putting into my scripts. Cool. What I would
we
love...
need his voice to continue.
Yeah, what I would love is a staff of 5 or 6 writers working for me that I could share my concepts with and have them create the scripts that I can guide to keep the messages clear.
So like Damien Hirst, like artists, like people who do dots for him, like a visual artist.
Yeah, well...
I don't know, I mean, like speaking, mind you, you're writing someone's voice right now. So maybe you could get some writers to work for you and like still have your voice.
I think it's John Grisham. It's one of those major... like higher than A-level novelists. Is it John Grisham?
Like you keep saying A-level, which is a form of exam in the UK for me. Before you have to take your A-levels before you go to university.
A-list level is what I mean. But
I mean, A-level, if he's doing his A-level, I mean, literally you're 18 and it's an exam. I'm like, oh, they're not doing so well.
But we'll say John Grisham. I could be wrong. But Grisham literally has a team of writers who write his books for him.
And Will Shakespeare, of course.
It's great. That's how he releases 2 or 3 books a year, honestly. I don't think Stephen King does that, but
Stephen King's amazing.
He's created a machine.
I'm really, really enjoying Stephen King.
Thanks for the thumbs up, Petra. Let's see. Let's get through here. Robin, speaking of back to school, are there any updates on the Plus or new level of ISA Connect? Would love to hear more about it. Thank you, Robin. Robin doesn't work for us. ISA Connect Plus. So right now, ISA Connect gets you a whole bunch of bonuses for $10 a month, discounts in a bunch of contests, access to writing gigs. And then you can put a whole bunch of things in your profile.
And discounts for screenwriting
contests. The big part right now that we're still currently almost done with is the innovation of the profile level for Connect Plus or for Connect members. You can do video pitches and you can post.
Put your scripts up.
It's basically ink tip, but for only $10 a month, and you can post as many scripts as you want. That's what we're working for in terms of the Connect. Connect Plus is going to be much more educational. Maybe we haven't really set the price just yet, but it's going to be pretty inexpensive. So don't worry about it going over the top. But we are going to get weekly videos. It might be monthly. I think it's probably going to be weekly videos from consultants that we literally put on camera. We bring them over to our little studio and we get them on camera, and they're going to be talking about various topics.
It's time for me to move out.
Plus. Plus a whole bunch of discounts on contests. I think we might even put a free entry per year to any ISA contest. And honestly, I think it's only going to be $29 a month. And there's going to be a lot more to
October 15th is the planned date.
We're hoping for a mid-October launch. I'm assuming it'll probably be November 1st, but we're hoping for October 15th. So that's coming. And there's going to be a lot more than just the videos and discounts and things. It's going to be this whole elevated.
It's a new gang.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. But all right, you guys actually do live together. Yeah, we're roommates, Joanne. Mary says, "Not Wine Wednesday without a laugh" from Mary Davis. That's true. Let's see. Christy says, "Is Craig at the Cubs game again?" No, I don't know where Craig is. I think he's flying from Chicago back here to LA. Let's see. Helena says, I may have to submit my full-length screenplay as one of 3 writing samples for a fellowship. My worry, it's not representative of my wheelhouse, drama, and it's rated low on Blacklist between 5 and 6. First of all, I wouldn't worry about Blacklist, but moving on, I'm worried submitting this as one of 3 writing samples may not reflect my skills and affect my fellowship chances. I think you're right, Helena. I think you should go with your intuition.
I think you're talking to yourself out of it already. I think you're saying you don't think it's ready. So what can you do? Do you have something else you could use instead, or could you spend the time improving it? When's the submission date?
Yeah, right. It's not representative of my wheelhouse and it's rated low on Blacklist. So I have to submit my full screen.
I just don't think you're saying it's not really reflecting your writing skills. So if it's not reflecting your writing skills, whether or not it's your genre or not doesn't matter. If it was a different genre to the thing you normally write in, but it was really good, it wouldn't matter. But the fact is, you don't. I feels like in what you've said,
in
that
your heart of hearts, I think you know the answer.
I don't think it's good enough.
But if you have time before the deadline for the fellowship, then write a drama. Or spec a drama show.
Or improve that script. It doesn't matter if it's not your normal wheelhouse. You're just showing versatility. I think the trouble, it seems to me, is that you don't think it's good enough. So why isn't it good enough? Work on that.
I mean, I think you're also saying that it's not in your wheelhouse. So I would, I don't know how many scripts you have. If there are other projects that are better or worse. The fellowship application process is tricky. I will say that if you're able to work with Lee Jessup, it's just leejessup.com, LeeJessup.com. She's amazing with helping writers apply to fellowships. She knows everything. And she's a straight shooter. She's not going to beat around the bush. Yeah,
she'll tell you whether that script's good enough
or not. She's been a guest on Wine Wednesday.
And she was at our Third Thursdays.
She's expensive, I will admit that, but she's totally worth it if you have the money to spend. Much of Clooney's year money came from selling his tequila company. Honestly, I think that's what it is.
Oh.
Yeah, $239 million.
It did seem very much more
absurd.
Than anyone else.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Honestly, I saw that number. Everybody else was down in like the 40 million. I think there was one male actor that was 110 or something. But
I mean, poor souls struggling through.
But still, 239 was a little crazy. James Patterson, thank you, writer Girl Karma, not John. That's who I'm talking about. Yeah. Let's see, we got here. Should I concern myself with a lot of direction while writing a screenplay? Well,
no.
I think
not for the filmmakers.
You should read a lot of scripts, Bob, and just see what other writers are doing. And visuals. I mean, a script is a visual medium, so yes, you should
set the scene.
Yeah, you should concern yourself with writing, visuals and action, but. In terms of direction, no, we don't want to be saying camera angle this or we see that or close up on this. No. Unless you're going to direct the script yourself, fine, then you can write whatever you want.
And then only do it in your copy because a person that you're sending it to try and raise the money will not want to see it.
Yeah, no, that ends up being the shooting script. Yeah, and I wouldn't worry about that. What you can do as the writer, if you do want to make like in your head you're seeing like a close-up of a banana like and it's moldy or something on the table, then you can say in a separate action line, a moldy banana hangs in a flimsy manner over the edge of a wooden table and it's rotting, or then the director's
flies buzz around a
you can
banana.
paint the picture for tone and the director will decide how close up we're going to get on. Otherwise, you would just say close up on rotten banana, which is like it's boring. It's
Well, also, I mean, like we talked about this before about an opening scene for Stranger Things, where it opened with a sheriff, and you didn't know that it was just a man in a vest and trousers, and the first thing he did was drink out of a beer can that had cigarette ash in it. So he spat that out, and then he went to the other one. So it just told you so much about characters. If it's about setting up a character or a tone or a kind of...
That really is a great example of the presentation of visuals. And I tell my writers a lot, if you can write... If you were forced to write your script without any dialogue, could you tell the same story? And that scene when that sheriff is introduced in the pilot of Stranger Things is a great example because there's no dialogue. It's just him waking up. For one thing, he lives by himself and he's sleeping on a couch. That's saying something. He's only wearing underwear. Gets up and the first thing he does is drink a beer and light a cigarette, and he's gross and disgusting. And he finally gets to the mirror in the bathroom, and he puts his sheriff uniform on. So we're like, oh my God, all right, conflicted character. We got it. So there are ways to get around the directions, Bob. Let's see. Christy says Mark Willows, a writer from Days of Our Lives, is great too. Did I miss something? That's good to know, Christy. What did Christy last say? Maybe what are we missing? Christy, is Craig at the Cubs game? So, Christy, maybe you might want to elaborate because I don't know what that means. I believe you. I'm sure Mark Willows is a very nice writer. My mom has watched Days of Our Lives since 1967.
When she was a small child.
Almost every day.
Hey, Casey.
Days of Our Lives, to me, means I'm homesick from school because they would be on in the background. And, I'd be sitting, on the couch just feeling like crap. My mom's watching Days of Our Lives. It was on at noon or 1 or something. Let's see. Great intro to the sheriff and straight, definitely. Christy says, up in Chicago, former Days of Our Lives writer Mark Willis just told some stories about, playing in Malibu with the best growing up. You should have him as a guest. Oh, thank you. Mark Willows.
We'll try and see if we can find him.
Chicago native. You're welcome, Bob. All right, let's do it. What do we got? Trivia. Wow,
so
this
is
went
to win.
Time. We went a long time here.
This is to win. How many questions should we do? 7.
Let's
we need an
do.
odd number.
Let's do 5 questions.
Your fingers at the ready, everybody.
Yeah. So.
And if you have a delay on your, I'm really sorry because this is something
there's not much we can do here.
Help with. But if you have a delay, wait a sec. Do you need to deal with those?
Yeah. No, it's okay. So we're gonna do 5 trivia questions. Whoever has the most correct after those 5 is going to win
a year's subscription, digital subscription, to a movie maker.
Yeah, this is why it's like an experiment. When we start Wine Wednesdays, our speech is perfect.
Well, the thing about that is also it depends on what we're doing afterwards. I think today we're going to Tironi, so none of us, we don't have any food in our tummies.
No, we're starving too. Yeah,
so
this is a glass of wine and a half, and I'm like,
oh my God.
Tironi is our favorite restaurant, by the way. If you live in Los Angeles,
no writing for us tonight.
This is a perfect example. But anyway, what do we got?
Okay, 5 questions. Fingers at the ready.
5 questions. 3 questions.
5 questions.
Anybody know Monty Python and the Holy Grail? 3 questions.
Okay. Which of the following is not a Wes Anderson movie? Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moonrise Kingdom, or Napoleon Dynamite?
So, is not a Wes Anderson movie.
Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moonrise Kingdom, or Napoleon Dynamite is not a Wes Anderson.
And sorry, Joanne, it's a good question. We cannot do music. We got muted by YouTube.
I know.
When we put some of those themes on, so we're not going to.
They liked Singing in the Rain, but they didn't like the others.
So, sorry, Joanne. Moonrise is incorrect.
Incorrect.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Woohoo!
Casey Lang, Napoleon Dynamite is not a Wes Anderson.
That is correct. Movie. Well done, Casey. It was written by Jared Hess. Wrote and directed it.
So Casey is correct. Casey's 1 up. Let me ask the next one here.
Let's try and find it.
Let's see.
But you can choose any from the gap.
Let's do. Here we go. This is a little tricky. I'm going to do the Hunger Games question.
Okay.
So this is for Hunger Games fans. In the Hunger Games films, which 2 actors portray Hamish Abernathy and Effie Trinket? So we're looking for the actors' names. The real, life actors who played Hamish Abernathy and Effie Trinket.
Effie Trinkets, what an excellent name. Bum ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum.
Who is it?
Effie Trinket.
We had a lot of people getting Napoleon Dynamite correct.
Abernathy.
Yeah, Hamish Abernathy and Effie Trinket. Who were the actors that played those 2 characters?
The actors. The real life actors.
Since there's a delay, I'm wondering.
One of them was in an excellent
I'm wondering
wig.
How many people are Googling this question.
Of course they are. One of them wore an excellent wig. Actually, I think they both wore excellent wigs in it.
It's interesting. I don't know if Hamish had a wig. Elizabeth Banks is one of them.
You need both.
Need both.
Hamish Abernathy and Effie Trinket. Excellent wigs abounded.
I'm refreshing the comments and we're not seeing it come up. Elizabeth Banks is one of them.
Anyone got IMDb Pro? Go look it up.
The actors.
Hamish Abernathy and Effie Trinket.
I asked that question because I'm a big Hunger Games question. I better get it. My daughter was in it. Oh my God, Suzanne. Well, Elizabeth Banks is one of them. Who plays
Who's the
Hamish
man? Who's the
Abernathy?
man who was wearing a wig? He was wearing a wig.
Yeah, I guess he probably was wearing it.
Hamish Abernathy.
Come on, folks. Wow. I
Does no
didn't
one
think
care?
this would be as difficult. Nobody, everybody's like, I give up. Never mind. I don't want to play this. Oh, I'm wondering if this is even... Come on, here we go. Refresh. Nobody is commenting. Are you seeing? Maybe if you
No.
can go. There we go. We got one comment. Okay. And we got Elizabeth Banks is one of them. Barrels on and... Barrels on? Pete, I think I know who you mean. Retype your comment. Harrelson, yes. Woody
Yes.
Harrelson and Elizabeth Banks.
Yay! Who was that?
Suzanne, sorry Suzanne if we didn't get the comment, but Pete Linsky yeah, there you go, Suzanne. I see your Harrison comment. So that might have been a technological issue
Glitching
there,
too.
but we have to go with what we see. So Pete got it right. Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks.
And he definitely was wearing a wig because in it he's got long blonde hair, and in
Yeah,
real
right.
life he
That's
has
true.
not got that going
That
down.
is true. All right, what's the next one?
I'm
I
going to
think
do
the
this
one
one.
below that
I'm
is
doing
pretty
this
good.
one. Which two actors who play Sherlock Holmes on TV, UK and America, which two actors who play Sherlock Holmes on TV starred on the London stage together in 2013 in a production of Frankenstein?
This is ridiculous.
I've
I think
seen
I
it.
know who it is.
I've seen it. I saw that production.
These
it
two
was
actors?
absolutely amazing. Yeah, two actors.
Who they both played Sherlock
They
Holmes?
both played Sherlock Holmes on TV. One in the UK, one in the US.
Oh, on TV.
On TV, yeah. On TV. One in...
What?
Yes. So there's a UK Sherlock Holmes, there's a US Sherlock Holmes, and they were on the London stage together in a 2013 production of Frankenstein. And I saw that, even though I was here, I watched it on this amazing thing they do.
If somebody gets this right,
You can
they
Google
deserve
it.
to just win.
They Google it. Googling. You can Google who plays Sherlock
So,
Holmes.
Joanne, you're only half correct. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Is the UK Sherlock Holmes. Who is the US
I
Sherlock
have
Holmes?
never heard of the U.S. Sherlock Holmes.
It's with Lucy Liu. Plays
the TV, I
a
see.
TV show. It says on TV.
So, Joanne and Casey, so Benedict Cumberbatch is one of them, but we need the name of the actor.
The actor who does the
UK
American,
or the American version.
version. It's not called Sherlock Holmes, but he is playing Sherlock Holmes, and Lucy Liu is in it with him. It's called something else. And I've never seen it, and I'd like to because I
Johnny
like both.
Lee Miller and
Yes.
Cumberbatch. There you go.
Woo!
Robin, very good, very good.
So now we've got three
Yeah.
people so far.
Well, so I apologize, people. Lots of Google cheaters here, yeah. Well,
What else can you
I'm sure
have to
there are
Google?
some delays, everybody. I apologize, but we just have to kind of go with what we see. So maybe there's a little luck involved too. But all right, so those are three questions. We've got Robin, Casey, and Pete tied at 1. We've
Okay,
got
this
two
is
more
supposed
questions.
to be an easy one.
It's supposed to be an easy one.
American actor appeared in American Graffiti before starring in Star Wars?
Star Wars and American Graffiti. Who is the American actor? Everybody should know this.
Slightly older American actor. Which actor appeared in American Graffiti before starring in Star Wars? Did you
No.
know that?
No hints. Harrison Ford, Casey Lang.
Woo! There you go.
Bam,
That's
Casey's
Casey.
got 2. We've got one more. So Robin and Pete can tie Casey for a little bit of a playoff.
Do you want to choose one?
Let's do, I'll choose one here. All right, so let's see what we got. I'm going to go to... that's too easy. I got to go to a different one. Here we go. This is a fun one. All right. This should be easy, but it takes a second to kind of... this top.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a second to get this. All right. I'm going to refresh the comments so we're ready to go. Everybody knew it, but all right. So...
Thank you so much for playing, everyone. This is so much fun.
It's the
Sorry
fifth-
on the podcast. We love you.
This 5th question. So Casey is currently ahead with 2, Pete and Robin with 1.
Yes.
Right? We're not missing it. Yeah. All right. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, what did the Scarecrow want from the wizard? What did the Scarecrow want from the wizard?
If I only had a mom.
Hey, what the no. Come on.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Sheesh. Well, let's just make it as easy as possible. But it's already easy. What did they want? There you go, Casey. Bam! Casey with brain.
Casey has got very quick internet.
He must have really fast internet.
It shows you to win the Movie Maker subscription.
Yeah, it was a brain.
Vast enter.
It was a brain. Well, there you go, folks. So, Casey, you just won a year's subscription, digital, to Movie Maker magazine.
To Movie Magazine.
Thank you to Movie Maker magazine. Thank you for everybody.
Thank you to Steel Wines.
Yeah.
Thank you to the Story Farm.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you to you for watching. Thank you to you for listening. You're amazing.
Thank you, everybody listening on our podcast page or iTunes or however you get your podcasts.
And I want to say as well, thank you for writing. Because, without you, we don't have a story. And without stories, the life and the world would be a very boring place.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you. We're glad you're telling your stories.
Keep working hard. Just stay creative. Stay passionate. Don't lose faith. And I think most of all, do not become impatient. I talk to so many writers. We both talk to so many writers every day. And we see it's kind of a common thread.
Well, that's also because you're the most impatient person on the planet.
I'm very impatient, but I've learned that this industry you cannot allow impatience. Things take forever, and they always will, because you have so many.
But you're supposed to be enjoying the ride anyway.
You have to be enjoying it. Impatience doesn't allow you to enjoy the ride. So just be patient. That's the best thing.
And also,
you can do.
what I would like for you to do as well, seeing as we've set this challenge before January, if you complete a screenplay or a short play, or you do a film, or you shoot a sizzle, or you apply for a contest, or you post it on our page. You know what? I would like you to tell us how well you're doing. Post it on the ISA.
Oh, if you place
Facebook.
in a contest or something, whatever success story.
And also if you've written your script, or after listening to this podcast.
Oh, on their Facebook page.
Yeah.
Just post a comment.
It.
Yeah.
Post a comment. Say what you're doing. Say I'm doing my writing. Why don't you even set yourself the challenge of saying I'm gonna do my 5 hours a week or my 10 hours a week, and this is the place where I'm gonna make myself accountable, and do it.
Yeah.
And we'll come and say well done and thank you and keep going, and because we're all in this together.
Right. Definitely.
So do it.
All right, congrats again, Casey. As you can see in the comment that James just put up, you're the winner of the Movie Maker giveaway. Stand by for a Facebook direct message directing you how to claim your prize. So you'll get a message from our Facebook team. But all right, everybody, we're out of here. We are not back next week. We have a week off. We will be back the next week after that.
Yes.
So just stay tuned to the Facebook page for International
And
Screenwriters
post
Association.
your pledges to yourself and to us.
And do everything you can to utilize the amount of hours that you have in a week, in a month, in 4 months.
Yeah.
Get something done before the end of the year. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Thank you so much. We love you.
All right, bye.
Bye.